Hey everybody, this is Repeat Ron, and today we're taking a look at another Killing Floor 2 tier list. This is going to be ranking all of the maps. This is going to be on how good they are to play, both on solo and as a team. And then this isn't going to be including all their aesthetics, because some of these maps I actually really like aesthetically, like catacombs, but I hate playing on catacombs, so I don't usually go there. At least not on higher difficulties. I'll go there on lower difficulties all day long. Anyway, let's get started. So first up, we have the Ashwood Asylum. And the Asylum is a pretty good map. It's pretty big. It has a lot of very long lines of sight. It has a decent amount of places that you can hide from, assuming you're getting shot at or something by maybe the Matriarch or Husks. And I enjoy the Ashwood Asylum quite a bit. I think I'm going to put it probably into A tier. It's a pretty good map. All right, moving on, we have Airship. Airship's a rather unique map because it does have objectives only on that are only available on it, like watering the garden and repairing part of the ship. And you're pretty likely to get those, so you can get extra cash pretty easily. Which that's pretty nice. I like the top decks of Airship pretty well too. You have a pretty good looping area there. You have plenty of places to run to. Once you get down on the second, or I guess below deck, things start getting kind of cramped. There is a couple areas where you can kind of loop stuff around, but it's not ideal. And for playing on Airship, I think it's probably like B tier. Again, maybe we'll do a list about how much I like the aesthetics of these, because I really like Airship. Airship is a really cool looking map. But it's kind of like B tier to play on. All right, then we have the Biotics Labs. Biotics Labs is an okay map. There is a lot of choke points in it. There's a lot of places where you can easily die in it. There's also a lot of places where there's a short door frame, so you can't necessarily hop over something to get away from it. That can cause issues. There is a few like good rooms to sit in. You can sit in like the room to the far back. That's a pretty easy room to sit in. I guess that's going up the stairs to the right, so the far right room. And then you also have like the lectern room, I guess, where everybody's, looking down at. That one's okay too. The other room across the hall from the whatever the right room is, I guess that's the big vacuuming room. The far left room's also pretty decent, so I think this one's probably like B tier. It's okay. I don't think it's as good as Airship, but it's pretty good. All right, then we have Black Forest. Black Forest is actually really easy to run around in. There are some choke points in it that are kind of deceptive. There's also some places where you can injure yourself, like falling off of the water wheel, for example. Potentially being knocked down across that bridge. That can be kind of an issue. I like most of the area though, and I think it's pretty good. I'd probably put this one into A tier as well. Maybe not as high as the Asylum, but it's pretty good. All right, then we got Burning Paris. Burning Paris is also not a bad one to play on. You have plenty of room to move around in. You actually have pretty good long loops. Going down into the subway station, though, isn't the best. Although the subway station does have some big open areas, too, so it's not the worst either. I'm probably going to put this one also into A tier. I think above Black Forest, but below Ashwood Asylum. All right, then we have the Catacombs. Catacombs is arguably one of the worst maps to try to survive in. If not the worst map. It's extremely cramped. There are ceilings everywhere to bump your head on. There's no real good place for the team to sit. Your best place to sit is honestly like at the top of the stairs with some people hopped up on the railing, because at least you have potentially 2 to 3 escapes there. So you have the widest amount of view, but there's 2 areas very close to you where crawlers and small guys can easily spawn in. There's also a long hallway that can sometimes give you refuge, but other times it's just where flesh pounds spawn and it can be really bad. Catacombs is going into D tier. It is not a very fun map to play on. This is when you want to bring like your berserkers, your firebugs, your medics, like the people that don't need much space to operate. And then we have Containment Station. Containment Station is actually a really good map, at least if you sit in the corner. Because if you sit on one corner and you have people manning both entrances, you actually have that entire room to yourself because nothing can spawn in there. which that gives you a ton of room to move around, and it's a very good place to loop. It's a very good place for the team to hold. It's less good when you have to actually like loop around, but even then, like most of the loops are pretty easy to navigate, and it's not really bad. It's one of my more favorite maps, so I think I'm going to put this one into S tier. Even though it is also somewhat cramped at spots, it still has like some big wide open areas that I really like. All right, and then we got Dissector. Dissector is only available in Endless. Part of the map is cut off to you until you reach a couple levels in it. I think it's level 5 and then it's open, and then level 10 when everything's open. I could be wrong about that. It's been a while since I played Dissector. Since this is an Endless only map, I don't play it a whole lot. But I do kind of like quite a few things about it. I think I'm probably going to put this one into B tier. It's decent. All right, then we have Extraction Point. Extraction Point has some really good loops once you know how to do them, but it also has a lot of dangerous parts in those loops because almost all of them involve looping throughout the ship and dropping to the bus so that you can then loop either back through the ship or loop back down around and then either into the ship or go further across the street. Any place that's open in the street is very nice because there's a lot of open space there. You can move around very easily. Anytime inside, it's less nice. You have a lot more choke points there. It's more difficult to run away. You can, on this one, actually hold out in the airport terminal, I guess. That's going, it reminds me of an airport terminal. The gate going up between the ship and the ground, provided you have somebody like a firebug that can push out if things get bad, because that does make it so they can only come two ways, but then you have to be able to push out one way or the other if you need to escape. Extraction Point is alright, and it's an okay map, so I think I'm going to put it into higher B tier. It's not bad. Alright, then we got Farmhouse. Now, I personally don't like Farmhouse, and it's not because it's not a good map. It's because it never shows up quite right when I'm recording or when I'm streaming. It's always darker than it should be, and I don't know why that is. I know part of it is because of YouTube's encoding, but still, it's kind of annoying for that. Aside from that, though, it's actually a really good place to run around because you have so much room out in the yard. You can easily loop around in there. You can loop around in the house to an extent. The house is a great holdout spot, at least on the top floor with the right doors welded. And it lets you escape whenever you want because you can hop up over the railing, which is really nice. So I think I'm going to still put this into A tier, even though I don't really like it. If I could see it all the time, if it showed up brighter, and I think there is actually a modded map that is brighter than this. I'm pretty sure Meat and Cheese and a couple other people have told me that that's true. Then this would probably be S tier. But just for that one reason, it's going to A tier. Alright, then we got Hellmark Station. Hellmark Station I actually really like. I think it's a very well done map. It's a little bit too bright and colorful if you're running Parry on Berserker. Everything gets really red then. But aside from that, you have a lot of space to run around. There's tons of loops that you can make. There's very few choke points. The only choke points I can really think of right away are like a couple of the offices and like the escalators. But other than that, you don't really have any choke points right there, so you can easily run around it. I think I'm going to put Hellmark Station into S tier. I really like it. Plus, it's got those pillars that you can get demon powers from, so that's kind of cool. All right, up next we have Hostile Grounds. This one is both a two-part. This one is a two-layer map like some of them, where you have the upper level that is actually very open. You can run around. There's just a couple buildings there. You can run through the alleys. A lot of places that you can move around very easily in. Long lines of sight, that's great. Underground, not so much. This is where everything gets more condensed. Now, that being said, if you sit and wait potentially at the bottom of the train station shooting up, that's not a bad place because that is just a choke point that you can still fall back from. But I tried to avoid the bottom level as much as possible. Overall, I think Hostile Grounds is still a pretty good map, and I'm going to put it into A tier. Alright, then we have Infernal Realm. Infernal Realm is another map that has a couple of bad choke points. And the loops are a little bit difficult to move around in. That being said, there is a lot of open area in this map, so it's not that bad to move around in. It's also not bad for the team to hold out in the main area, because you have so many escapes that you can do, and you can see enemies coming from quite a ways away. So I think I'm going to put Infernal Grounds also into A tier. It's pretty good. Alright, then we got Krampuslayer. Krampuslayer is probably one of my favorite maps in this game. It is so cool. It's quite a bit different because you only get access to certain parts of the map. So you're actually kind of enclosed for this, but every place that you're enclosed generally has a pretty decent loop around it. So you can run around. This also has one of the highest just spawn rates of weapons. So it is extremely easy to get like tier 3 weapons faster than you normally would. Or to get to tier 4 or tier 5 weapons even faster, which is great. And I just really love this map. It's going up into S tier at the top for right now. Up next, we have Lockdown. Lockdown is another enclosed map. There's actually quite a bit of room that you can move around in this, though. Many of the rooms are fairly open, so that's not bad. Some of the pathing to room is, though, because there's almost always door choke points that are a pain to move from. It is a pretty good map for the team, though, to hold out in, because you can funnel almost everything into just 1 or 2 doors that they're actually coming in and just secure those areas. And for that, it's not bad. I think I'm going to put this one maybe into C tier, though. It's kind of enclosed, and there has been plenty of times where you go to jump over the railing, bonk your head, and get killed by a flesh pound or something like that. At least that's happened to me. So, alright, then we got Monster Ball. I really like the look of Monster Ball. Running around it can be a bit difficult, though. There are quite a few tight angles. You can't necessarily see everything. If you're out on the dance floor, it's okay, or if you're kind of in just that courtyard section, it's fine as well. If this was aesthetics, this would probably be S tier, but since this is gameplay, I think this is probably going to go to like probably A tier. It's still not bad to play on. It's still a pretty good map to play on. Alright, and we have Nightmare. Nightmare is another enclosed map. You go level to level, and depending on which level you get, depends on how enclosed it is. The first round is okay. The last round is also okay. The spider layer is pretty good because there is quite a bit of looping you can do there. And like the war zone is alright too, because you can move around somewhat okay there. None of the maps are particularly horrible, but they are all very enclosed. It's similar to Lockdown, so I'm going to put it into C tier. It's not one of the easiest maps to play on. Nuked. Nuked is probably one of, if not the easiest map to play on. It has very long lines of sight. It's very open so long as you stay outside. Indoors, not so much. Indoors is not as good, but outside is really good. You have so much room to move around. And I'm going to put this one also up into S tier. Very good map. Alright, this is Outpost. Outpost has one of the best places to actually sit with your team. Because if you go outside to where the vehicles are, you can sit right there and cut off all Zeds from coming just from 2 ways. And pretty easily push one side or the other. It's another map where it's like if you get indoors, it's not as bad. But as long as you're staying outside, it's a pretty good map. And I really like it. I think it's probably also going to go to S tier. Next up is Power Core. Power Core is a very enclosed map. It's also a very bright map if you get vibrance increased from like Berserker's Parry. It's a map that moves you from section to section. Certain sections of the map are much better than others. Almost all of them are fairly wide open areas. But certain parts of this map really make it difficult for you because there can be so many spawns and simply spawns that you can't see. It's just where they spawn directly on the other side of the wall, swing around the wall, and can immediately get you. So it's really unfortunate if you get flesh pounds here. This is probably going to C tier. Alright, then we have Biolapse. Biolapse is another area that, or another map that pushes you from area to area. The last area of this place is actually quite good. The first area is pretty good too. Some of the other areas, not so much. Some of them, there's like one loop, but there's so many tight choke points there that it's impossible to use it correctly. It's a pretty difficult map. And I think I'm probably going to put this one into D tier for its difficulty. Just not a whole lot of breathing space for quite a few parts. All right, then we have Desolation. Desolation is all right as long as you're staying outside, but most of it loops back around to the inside. Inside is okay. It's not the best. You do have some long lines of sight, some long hallways, but they're almost always kind of enclosed, and there's usually just kind of stuff blocking you, so there is quite a few choke points. I think we're going to put Desolation in C tier. Right, we got Elysium. Elysium is the newest map that's been added. And Elysium is also one of those maps that depends on which part you get. If you're talking about the big wide open area that you get at the start, that one's really quite good. Yeah, Zeds can come from any angle then, but you can also see them from every angle too. And you have long lines of fire that you can fend them off with. Elysium, I do like. Even though I was kind of disappointed this wasn't a Christmas map for the Christmas update. But Elysium itself is still probably, I'd say B tier, because some of the areas that it sends you to are a bit enclosed. But most of them are fine though too. So, I don't know, B or A tier, somewhere around in there. It's not bad. All right, then we got Santa's Workshop. This is another map that I really, really like, just aesthetically. It looks amazing. It's probably my favorite looking map out of any of the maps in this game, but it's not really my favorite to play because it's all objective based, and certain objectives are incredibly difficult, especially on high difficulties, like the delivering the sled to the Krampuslayer. That's probably the hardest part, and that's the second to the last part, so you have to play through most of the mission to get there. And it can be very frustrating dying there, and it's actually a pretty difficult map to play, so I think I'm going to put it down into D tier as well for difficulty. Alright, we got Shopping Spree. Shopping Spree is fine. You have quite a few open areas there. The main lowest level is quite open. Higher up, there are a lot of choke points there, but even so, they're not usually too bad. I think we're going to put Shopping Spree probably into B tier. All right, Spillway. Spillway is another map that I actually like. It has quite a... as long as you're outside or even in parts of the factory, there's a lot of areas that you can actually run through that aren't really choked off in any way. So it's fairly safe to move around. You have long lines of sight. You can maneuver pretty easily. There are a couple safe spots you can go up on. It's pretty good for holding out with a team, and I'm probably going to put it into A tier. I like this map. Steam Fortress. I like Steam Fortress as well. The last area to fight the boss is sometimes hit or miss depending on which boss you get. It can be kind of a pain with certain bosses. Others, it's not that bad. The outside map is really nice, though. You have a lot of area to move around in. I love that it's bright, too. You get to see everything, which is great. I think I'm going to put this into A tier just because, like, the final place is kind of annoying to fight certain bosses in. All right, then we have The Descent. The Descent is, again, it's right up there with Catacombs. It is one of the hardest, if not the hardest map in the game to play. Everything is enclosed. Every section of the map is very choked off. This is another one where you're going to be bringing your Berserker, your Firebug, your Medics, and it's going to D tier. It is not really a fun map to play on high difficulties. Tragic Kingdom. I really like Tragic Kingdom. There's plenty of places to move around. Once you turn the lights on, you get access to some traps that are kind of fun to play with, and you get to really see the whole carnival in all of its glory. And I like it. I'm going to put it into A tier. I think it's quite good. Voltaire Manor. Voltaire Manor is another map that I like the look of. I think it's really cool looking, but I don't really like to play it. There's way too many choke points in it. There's so many spawn points where enemies can just spawn like right next to you and there's really nothing you can do. So this one's probably also going to D tier. It's kind of a pain in some ways. All right, then we got Zed Landing, which is the tropical map. This one's nice and bright. You have pretty good areas to move around. You have very long loops that you can do. This one's a pretty good map too. I think that one's going into A tier. Sanitarium, I really, really like the look of. It's another map that I really like the looks of. It's really cool. It's really big. It's deceptively big with how at least deep it goes. That being said, it is kind of a pain to move around in on, and there is quite a few choke points, like in the labyrinth, going down any of the stairs, going into the lower parts of it. So I think it's going to go to C tier. It's kind of a pain to move around in. And then we've got Prison. Prison is an okay map. There is quite a few big areas, like if you're out on the workout yard, you're okay. Running through it is all right too in certain sections. Other sections can be a pain. The ceilings are kind of low, so you can bump your head easily and not be able to jump over the railings like you think you would. So I think this is like another C tier map in terms of how easy it is to run around in. So this is my list of Killing Floor 2 maps based on how easy I think they are to play, and my preference towards them. I guess I'll make another one of these that's just how much do I like them aesthetically, because certain maps I really, really like, and other maps not so much. So stay tuned for that. That should be out, I don't know when, sometime soon probably. Thanks for coming and watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Tell me what your favorite and least favorite maps are down in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to all of you guys next time. Till then, stay cool, and bye!